Gloria Strode, and welcome to Straightforward. Today we have one of our best community advocates from New Horizons, Susan Gallagher. Welcome.
Welcome, and thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Well, you are all over the map. I see you on council. I see you at community events. I see you at community collaborative meetings. You are an advocate for mental health and everything that's going to make our community better.
Exactly.
You have great events going on all the time, but there was one that really touched me.
Yes.
And with so much going on in the news nationally, and then with our children and our soldiers, I just wanted to make sure that we did our part to support you in promoting this far enough in advance so people will be on board. So what you got going on?
What do I have going on? Well, you know, for about a year now, I've been promoting conversations of courage around mental health and suicide. People, I don't think, are aware of the facts and figures around suicide. It's the #2 leading cause of death for children in the state of Georgia from 10 to 17. Yeah, isn't that terrible?
10 to 17 children,
children,
number two. So, you know, it's not house fires or anything like that.
Well, when you take accidental death, which is #1, that combines everything, such as car accidents, fires, accidental drownings.
So that's everything.
Every type of accidental death is the #1 cause of death for children in the state of Georgia. #2 is suicide for those ages 10 to 17.
And that's concerning for me.
Yes.
Of course, my grandchildren live in another state, but I'm a grandmother.
Yes.
I am a mother and a grandmother, and I have 3 grandchildren. And so that's alarming. And as I shared with you, I was a social worker in my other life.
Yes.
So as adults, we kind of ignore things when children are depressed. I've seen children in grocery stores with, you know, parents, and I said to my husband one day, that child is depressed.
Yeah.
And we are so busy sometimes we don't pay attention.
Right, we're busy, and oftentimes when it comes to our children, we think it may be a phase that they're going through, and we don't know the signs and symptoms, and what's the difference between a phase and what is something that we should seek help with. And I encourage parents to speak to their pediatrician, their doctor, when they have some things that they're concerned about. You know, we need to talk about it. You need to have these conversations of courage with our parent caregivers, our family members, our pediatricians, and know what resources are available.
Right.
When I was at the MLK event, I was talking about a training that New Horizons has coming up.
And I'm excited about that. I mean, you know, it's a very sensitive subject, but I'm excited to know that we have that type of resource that's available to those that would want to take advantage of it.
Well, you know, New Horizons is one of 23 community service boards in the state of Georgia. We are the Tier 1 provider of behavioral health services for 8 counties in West Central Georgia. And last year we contracted with DBHDD, who is our parent organization.
DBHDD. Those acronyms in that world of social work. Yes.
The Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities.
Okay.
DBHDD has received a grant to do mental health awareness training, a federal grant. And New Horizons is the community service board that they partnered with in Region 6, which is 32 counties, to provide the mental health awareness trainings.
Right. So, and so you're working with some schools.
We are with the mental health awareness training. It is public. It is not necessarily in the schools.
Okay.
Now we do work with the schools. We have the Georgia Apex project that is funded through DBHDD, and we're embedded in some of the schools in our service area.
That's the one that's in the schools.
Right.
So you have a lot of services and resources that people can take advantage of.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Project Aware is the federal funding for mental health awareness training for school personnel. This is mental health awareness training for community people. It can be somebody that's in social services, family members, caregivers, people.
What about our veterans?
Veterans, anybody can come to these trainings. Our first training for 2020 is the ASSIST, Applied Suicide intervention skills and techniques. And it's assist.
That's the acronym
That's
for
the
it.
acronym.
Okay.
And that is a 2-day training, and you have to commit to both days. Our training is March 24th and 25th. But we have some other trainings coming up too. On July 7th, we'll be offering Youth Mental Health First Aid, which is a 1-day training, 8 hours. And that training I recommend for anybody that works with youth. Youth pastors, if you're a Boy Scout or Girl Scout volunteer, if you
Boys
coach,
and Girls Club
exactly, if you
person.
coach a team, because the Youth Mental Health First Aid will talk about those issues of recognizing depression in children.
Boards
and
of Christian education.
Exactly.
Because in our faith-based community, you know, sometimes people say just pray about it. Yes, we do want to pray.
Exactly.
But sometimes we got to do something a little different. Right.
Exactly. We want you wouldn't tell somebody with diabetes or cancer just to pray about it. You would pray for them and encourage them to seek treatment. And we want to do the same thing around mental health and addictive diseases. Yes.
So I'm excited. So that 2-day assist.
Yes.
And I hope my schedule will permit. And I was sharing it with our producer Nicole that I thought it was great sharing here in the building. We need to make sure that folks that have children, grandchildren, work with children, everyone needs to get on board with that. Is it free?
It is free because of the grant that DBHDD received. Usually people would have to pay to go to these trainings.
Right.
And these trainings are going on all across the state. So I encourage folks to visit the New Horizons website, www.nhbh.org. On our news feed, it lists it has a banner headline about the suicide awareness and the mental health trainings, and it will take you to a link to the website that has all the trainings all across
over
the state,
which is good because this show airs, and you'll see it in other counties outside of Muskogee.
Fantastic.
So since they're not here in Muskogee to come to the one you're hosting in March, then they can attend the one that's nearest their area.
Exactly.
Okay, and it's free.
They're all free.
Okay, and so how do we sign up for the assist, and what can we expect that day?
Well, the assist is a 2-day training. We'll probably have, it'll be in Conference Room B at the 2100 Comer Avenue building.
Okay.
Probably be about 30 people attending the class.
Okay.
When you come in, you'll already be pre-registered and sign off. We have, with assist, it's a 2-person team that provides the training.
Okay.
And last year, our trainers came from Savannah. We had an instructor from the Community Service Board in the Savannah area, and also from Armstrong State University. They
wonderful.
Tag together and provide the training.
So we're bringing in subject matter experts.
Yes, we are.
Oh,
yes,
great.
we
I
are.
love that. Okay, well, what we're going to do is go to our first break to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Great. Thank you, ma'am.
We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by Chalk by Quincy introduces Excellence Redefined, timepieces of the finest technology, luxury, and class with tons of style at chalklifestyle.com. Renal Associates LLC, a team of physicians dedicated to excellent kidney care with 5 convenient locations to serve you: Stark Avenue, Columbus; Bradley Park Drive, Columbus; Lafayette Parkway, LaGrange; West Washington Street, Eufaula; and Spring Street in Warm Springs. Vanessa Jackson's District 3 Successful Scholars Program, supporting students in achieving academic excellence, outstanding citizenship, positive social and cultural growth, believing in success for kids. Dr. Sheikha Shaw Family Medicine, connecting your health to your future. Dr. Shaw prides herself in providing compassionate health care and establishing long-lasting relationships. Conveniently located at 2827 Warm Springs Road, Suite 3B. Call her today at 706-324-4177.
Walmart's reason for supporting Thurgood Marshall College Fund is simple. We like to win. And we have been given a lot of exposure to some incredible talent. And we also believe that it's a part of our responsibility to the community to give back. This is a great opportunity to do both. It's been a wonderful experience for us through the years. We've appreciated our partnership. We believe in return on investment, and we have definitely had a remarkable return.
I'm Drew Brees, and being a dad means the world to me. And one of the most important things any parent can do is make sure their kids get active at least 60 minutes each day. Studies show that physical activity not only helps kids stay healthy, it can enhance important skills like concentration and problem solving, which can improve academic performance. This means physical activity can help your kids in the most important game of all, life.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing this wonderful, informative, so needed conversation with the awesome Susan Gallagher from New Horizons. I feel so encouraged.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't say that just, blowing smoke. I really do. We've seen on social media where we have children, very young children, teens, middle school, high school, broken individuals, adults.
Right.
People are getting a divorce, or there's a breakup, or, it's just all kinds of reasons that people from all ages. And then, of course, we have our soldiers, former soldiers and veterans, and that really, concerns me as well.
Well, when we say social media, I don't think it's very social. We're human beings. We need to have in-flesh contact with people. We need that eye-to-eye contact. We need that facial expression. And social media doesn't give you that. It's anonymous. And people then, I think, feel free to maybe say things that they wouldn't necessarily
normally say face to face.
Exactly, exactly.
Right. Well, it was a story there about a child that committed suicide and had spoken to the teacher about it and that kind of thing. And so that was why I felt that extra sense of urgency, because I thought, if the child was telling the teacher and other people, again, as adults, we're so busy, like you say, we think it's a phase or it'll pass and that kind of thing. So,
Well, Georgia recognizes that teens communicate differently than adults, and we have the Georgia Crisis and Access Line that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's available for crisis. But a lot of times kids don't want to talk on the phone, and they now have a crisis text line.
Oh, really?
And the busiest time for the text line is 3 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
The kids are up and
the parents are sleeping.
Exactly.
And so they don't really know that the child or the teen is struggling.
Right, but the crisis line is there and they can text it. You can go to the New Horizons website, again, www.nhbh.org, and we have information about how to access the crisis line, both the phone line and the text services.
So, and the assist, let's go back. Are you going to be teaching us what to look for?
Yes.
What are some of those signs? Because just thinking, Robin Williams, he was the funniest guy.
Yes.
And we've heard that a lot of comedians are funny because it masks pain.
Right.
And I've heard that over and over. And so everyone was so stunned, and then Anthony Bourdain. These are people that I enjoyed on TV. And then one day, and I was like, what?
Right. But I think when it comes to celebrities, we're unaware of the struggles that they are going through. And with Robin Williams, he had been suffering from clinical depression for years. Anthony Bourdain had had a history of substance use and addiction. And even Kate Spade committed suicide, and she had a history of depression. So we may not know all the details and think that it came out of the blue.
Right.
But for those individuals that we meet and talk to every day, there are signs and symptoms. One of the trainings that we're going to be providing in September is called QPR Gatekeeper Training. Question, persuade, refer. And it talks about if an individual says something like, oh, I don't know how I can go on. I don't see the point. There's things that people say.
Hopelessness.
Right, right. And there's that myth that if you ask somebody, are you thinking of committing suicide, you're putting the idea in their mind. The idea is already in their mind. What they need to hear is that somebody's concerned enough about them to ask them that question.
Really?
to persuade them to seek help
So
and to
that
know how to
myth
refer.
about don't bring it up
Exactly.
is the bad thing.
Exactly.
Right.
We
That's
want
not
to
good
talk about
advice.
it. Right. It's not good.
You want them to feel that they can open up and share.
Right. We want to have these conversations of courage, not only around mental health and addiction, but suicide. We haven't been talking about suicide for years, and it hasn't gone away.
No.
Just talking about it doesn't make it go away. Last year, 2017, there were over 47,000 adults in the United States that committed suicide. That's more than die of the flu. But
47,000?
47,000
That's
died of
larger
suicide.
than some communities.
Yes,
And
yes.
really, it is.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
So, yes. But we talk about getting your flu shot. We talk about getting cancer screening. Nobody talks about suicide
It's
and
like
mental
it's
health
taboo.
screenings.
Don't
Yes,
it's something
yes.
we whisper about.
Exactly.
And we need to be loud and vocal
Right.
about this.
Yeah. Now, you and I come from the same era. I don't
Yes.
want to give away how old we are, but I remember growing up, people would talk about cancer in hushed tones.
Yes. Or we had people had it and didn't want people to know that they had
Exactly.
it. Right.
Exactly. But now people are sharing their chemo and radiation on Facebook and talking about
the entire journey.
Yes,
Yeah.
and survival rates are up, and people are advocating for themselves, empowering themselves. And we need to do the same thing around mental health, addictive diseases, and suicide. We need
Right.
to speak about it, talk about it, and not in hushed tones.
Right. And I remember growing up, people would talk about Milledgeville.
Oh, yes.
And of course, you know, that was the thing. And there were a lot of myths about that. They'll put you on the bus and drive you there and you'll never get out. And a lot of families that had people that had mental health issues, they just hid them away.
Exactly.
And they never engaged. But we have so many resources
Yes.
and treatment.
And community-based services. We realized back in the 70s that the best place for people to get treatment was in the community. So there are a lot of outpatient programs. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some people that need to be hospitalized,
Right.
or that some people need to be hospitalized temporarily, and we do have those resources. And Georgia has a great network of continuum of care for services with experiencing mental illness. And then there's help for the families too.
Right, and that's a very important part because the families often don't know how to help the person.
Exactly.
Right, and or to recognize when they're having a breakdown.
Right.
Right.
One of the things we provide at New Horizons for families that are in services with us, when I say families, I mean a child may have been diagnosed with a mental health disorder. We provide family training. How do you discipline a child with a mental health disorder? Making sure that the parents and the family understand the importance of taking the medication. Training the parents how to look for signs and symptoms and triggers of a mental health episode, and wrapping services around the family, not just the child, but the entire family.
All right, this is good stuff. What we're going to do is take our final break, go to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Great, thank you,
We'll
ma'am.
be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by Warrior Outreach. Contact Command Sergeant Major Retired Sam Rhodes or Kathy Rhodes. The Hugel Foundation, enriching the community through Christian music support, community outreach, and the Georgia Through Photography Project. For more information, call B at 706-568-6431. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided. A touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. East Alabama Endocrinology, educating and caring for those living with diabetes in Alabama and Georgia. 1400 Bradley Lake Boulevard, 3320 Skyway Drive, Suite 602, Opelika. Take charge of diabetes and live your best life. State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front line for veterans every day.
Walmart's reason for supporting Thurgood Marshall College Fund is simple. We like to win. And we have been given a lot of exposure to some incredible talent. And we also believe that it's a part of our responsibility to the community to give back. This is a great opportunity to do both. It's been a wonderful experience for us through the years. We've appreciated our partnership. We believe in return on investment, and we have definitely had a remarkable return.
I'm Drew Breeze, and being a dad means the world to me. And one of the most important things any parent can do is make sure their kids get active at least 60 minutes each day. Studies show that physical activity not only helps kids stay healthy, it can enhance important skills like concentration and problem solving, which can improve academic performance. This means physical activity can help your kids in the most important game of all, life.
Welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing this great conversation with the awesome Susan Gallagher. You're out here changing lives, helping families, people that have loved ones that suffer from depression, mental health issues other than some, more serious schizophrenic and things like that. You all have resources to help the families. See, sometimes we just want to isolate. You can't, because if that person is a part of the family unit, everybody needs help with getting through. If the person is having an episode in the middle of the night, people need to know what to do. The first thing folks want to do is just call 911. Right. But like you said, we need to be paying attention if they're not taking the medication, if their sleep habits change, because I was sharing with you, I worked at South Florida State Mental Hospital when I was young and skinny and all of that, and that was one of my first professional jobs. But you would learn how people, when they would start pacing,
right,
when
looking for those signs.
Right,
exactly.
All of those things are very important that family members or community support people, can help recognize, like if a child's at school.
Right.
Right.
One of the things I want to say is New Horizons Behavioral Health, our motto is building better lives. And we have over 400 dedicated employees, staff, mental health, nursing professionals that work with individuals in our 8-county service area. I'm just out here beating the drum and spreading the word about the good work that they do.
This is a calling.
Yes.
You will not get independently wealthy doing this job. You might go back to Florida to the beach, but you'll be going to visit your family. You won't be buying that beachfront.
I'm not staying on beachfront property.
You
No,
will
no.
Not in this career. But it is certainly sometimes a thankless, but so very important. And what you said, 400?
Yes, 400.
We cannot thank you all enough because you all are helping to manage that daily. That helps our children that need that help in school. It helps families. Folks don't understand what it's like if you have a child that, is struggling and then you still have to work and go to, and go through your daily routine. I've seen it in the schools before.
And that's one thing I'd like people to do. You're supposed to have a call to action.
Right.
So I would encourage people, I have 2 calls of action today. Have these conversations of courage around mental health. If you yourself are experiencing mental illness, talk about it. Talk about anxiety, talk about depression, talk about bipolar. You talk about your cancer treatments you were going through.
Right.
And then the second call to action I have is for us general community members. You talked about children and having a crisis maybe at home. How many times do we see a child maybe having a meltdown in a grocery store or in a department store? And we have a tendency to think, what is wrong with that parent?
Right.
Why can't they handle this situation? Maybe we need to have a paradigm shift about how we look at those instances.
Right, because I've learned from Diane Pope and Marianne Young that they work with children and families with autism.
Yes.
They could just be having an episode.
Exactly.
And so they're about training people in the community to recognize that, because the worst thing we could do is go touching, because then that's going to escalate the situation. So I really want us to be all informed and to know as much as we can possibly know. And if it makes it better for that person, it's better for everyone.
Yes.
And we can't keep whispering about it.
Right.
And I want to go back to, yes, you can be a Christian. You can serve and worship God, whatever your faith is. That does not mean you cannot get mental health treatment.
Exactly.
We have to say that.
Yes.
Yeah, because from a generation, it was, you had to pray about everything. Well, I'm like this, faith without works is dead.
Right.
You got to do something.
Exactly.
Right.
And God helps those who help themselves.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yes.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And New Horizons is here to help. We provide a continuum of services, not only with the mental health and addictive diseases, but we provide adult developmental disability services.
Oh,
we
really?
have employment services. We have residential programs for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And then we work hard to reduce those barriers to accessing services. One of them is transportation. We have our own fleet of vehicles that provides transportation.
That's very important.
Yes.
Those are things we take for granted.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
in our normal lives.
Right.
So you
just
all
get in the car and go.
And go. So you all have, that's one of the wraparound services.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
yeah. So we provide a full range of services.
So
yes.
what about families dealing with those with dementia? You know, we got a lot going on with Alzheimer's, and we have a lot of support going with various organizations, the Alzheimer's Association.
Right.
But some folks might not be connected there, so can they get that type of support?
Well, for caregivers, definitely we provide support.
Okay,
and
good.
Dementia and Alzheimer's, recently the state of Georgia opened it up where community service boards will be able to provide services for folks with dementia and Alzheimer's. The new provider manual will probably be coming out in June, and so our clinical director and CEO, et cetera, will be looking at what is necessary to provide services for folks experiencing dementia and Alzheimer's. That's a little out of our normal purview, though, because those are more organic brain disorders, right? So we don't really treat traumatic brain injuries because, again, those are more organic brain disorders.
But you're there to help the caregivers because
yes.
it's exhausting when you're the caregiver.
And if somebody maybe has had a PTSD or depression because of a TBI, traumatic brain injury, we're there to help with the behavioral health side of things.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So one more time, how they can reach you, because I want everyone to call you. I want the class to be running over where you have to set up 10 extra classes.
That would be fantastic.
Right.
So you can find the information on our website, and again, that's www.nhbh.org. My number is 706-596-5517. If you need clinical help, our intake line is 706-596-5500.
So if they go to the website, they're going to find everything they need to know. Yeah, we're going to write your phone number on the bathroom wall.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, thank you so much.
And be sure to wear our shirt. Fantastic. We do a run every year in September.
Oh, yes.
National Recovery Month. And,
well, I'm going to be sporting that. Absolutely.
Fantastic. And that'll help you start those conversations of courage.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
This has been straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.